Hello, and welcome to another War Thunder video, and this is a plane that I have not flown in quite some time. This is the Devoisin D520, and this is one of the 3 French aircraft in War Thunder. Unfortunately, if you do not already have this aircraft, you cannot get it. Much like the other 2 French aircraft, rather, you can no longer acquire either of the other 2 French aircraft. One of them, the Boston, was up for sale at one point, and then was taken down. And then there was this one, the D520, which was up for sale for $10 for up until I think about 1.57 or 1.6 or something like that, and then they took it down. And then the D521, which is the 3rd and final French aircraft, and is basically a carbon copy, as far as I know, of the D520. The D521 was a reward aircraft, as far as I know. So, once again, you can no longer acquire that one either. And it's a damn shame, too, because I would really like to have the 21. And the reason why I would like to have the 21, the D521, is because the D520 is an absolutely phenomenal aircraft. Now, this match that you're watching here, this match was absolutely ridiculous. So, there are only 3 German aircraft that actually climbed in this match. Those 2 P-47s, and that China 504 all the way on the other end of the map in his 109 F4 Trop. Those were the only 3 guys on the entire enemy team that actually climbed. And no, I'm not exaggerating. Those 3 were the only guys that actually climbed in this match for the German team. By contrast, most of the Allied team did. Now, we're just diving in here on our first couple of targets. It's a 205 Series 1 and a 202 EC. Now, armament for the D520. It is armed with a single Hispano 404 20mm cannon firing down the prop hub with 60 rounds, and 4 of the lowest caliber machine gun in War Thunder, 4 7.5mm machine guns with 2,700 rounds total, or 675 rounds per gun, or 2,700 total, 6,075 per gun. So, very good ammunition load for the machine guns. So there was our first kill on a 202 EC, who basically made a target of himself. Next is this 202 Series 1. He just went head on with the Spitfire and actually killed the Spitfire's engine. It is not known by me at this point, but that Spitfire is actually dead. 205 completely forgets that there's a D520 on his ass, and that's kill number 1, or kill number 2, rather. So, what is it that I like so much about the D520? Well, what I love about the D520 is that it combines speed and maneuverability in a way that normal British fighters don't. And yes, this is actually a premium aircraft in the British tree. So, this is an aircraft that for a British aircraft, or at least an aircraft in the British tree, it flies more like an early model Bf-109, like an E3. An E3 or an E4. However, it has the armament comparable to that of a Spitfire. So, while it doesn't have the same maneuverability as the Spitfire, it makes up for that in speed. It's much faster than the Spitfire, by far. Or at least in a dive. In level flight, the optimum altitude, by the way, for this aircraft is 5,000 meters, as I, run out a 20mm cannon, take 2 of the flaps off of that 109, kill his tail control, and he goes into the ground for kill number 3. So, yes, there is... in a dive, this thing is extremely fast. In a custom battle, I have gotten this thing out to 490 miles an hour, and that is when the plane redlines at 490 miles an hour. Its roll rate is not very much. Its roll rate at that speed is very. It isn't deviated much from where it originally, like the roll rate in level flight. And in fact, in handling in a dive, it actually is very good in a dive. This aircraft will not compress whatsoever. There are no compressibility issues to speak of. And it can pull from 3,000 meters on 100% throttle. It can pull out past 490 miles an hour, go into a 12G pullout, and it'll be fine. And that's in realistic battles. So this kill right here, this is just for all of those of you who complain about using low caliber machine guns to try to kill bombers. This is how you do it. And actually, little tip for shooting down any bomber in the game, hit the engine cells. Always, 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 always go for the engine cells. And, well, that was the last kill for this match, actually. Basically, the rest of this match, I flew back home to get a repair and a rearm. And I managed to get all the way back to the runway, get a repair and a rearm. The SM-79 that is over by our base was rammed by a friendly P-39. In fact, that Miles guy that is right up there in front of me, he rammed the SM-79. And the last player on the enemy team was an HE-111 pilot who dumped his bomb load and then proceeded to crash his aircraft. So yeah. And yeah, that was the end of the match. So, on to the next one. And here we are with the second match. This time on the Norway map. So, oh, and by the way, there's the cockpit. I think I actually do jump back into the cockpit for another look, which, by the way, this is another advantage that the D520 has. It has very good visibility for an aircraft of this tier. It has a VR of 2.7 in arcade and 3.0 in realistic. Or no, 2.7 in realistic, 3.0 in arcade. There we go. So yeah, very good battle rating for, for this thing's tier. It has very good visibility for the cockpit. Let's see, I think I was kind of I had gone AFK here and just decided to climb it around 4 or 5 degrees, like 6 or 7 degrees, so I could at least get some altitude. Which is actually a bit of a problem with this plane. It doesn't climb very well. Also, this thing isn't a very good high altitude fighter. It really is not designed for fighting at high altitude. Like I said in the last one, this thing's optimum altitude is 5,000 meters. However, even at 3,000 meters, the max speed that I've managed to get, which is 3,000 meters, is generally going to be the altitude that you're going to engage in it, primarily because this thing doesn't have the climb rate to get to higher altitude quick enough. So, or 3 to 4,000 meters, really. So yeah, 3,000 meters on just 100% throttle, no WEP. I managed to top out at 300, or no, not at 300, at 290 miles an hour, which isn't bad, but it's not great. And like I said, I went into, at 3,000 meters, going in a dive at 260 or 270 miles an hour. I pulled out in a 12G turn, or at a 10 or 12G pull out. Didn't rip the plane at all, going 493 miles an hour, and I got the red line at about 490 or 489. So very, very good maximum dive speed. And not only that, but through that whole dive, it had very, very good dive performance. I had no compressibility issues. There was no trouble pulling up out of the dive at all. I just pulled back on the stick and it immediately went nosed up. Roll rate in the dive, it was very easy to control the aircraft while it was in the dive. The roll rate was very good. It really doesn't lose a lot of its rate of roll in high-speed dives. Not only that, but I have dropped the flaps in this thing at about 260 miles an hour, and the flap warning does come up, but I haven't actually broken the flaps off of this aircraft. So for this match, here's our first victim, and it's a Bf-109 F1. He's currently going into a high arcing turn. I'm going to follow him. Put a shot into him. The first shot knocks off his elevator. I open up with machine guns, and I don't score any hits on that little burst, but Spitfire follows him. I have a feeling like the Spitfire is going to try to steal my kill, but the Bf-109 actually either rips his wings or bails out and gives me the kill. So that's kill number 1. Oh, and by the way, a little bit of a spoiler, I only get 2 kills with the cannon in this match, and that was one of them. Also, I might as well go ahead and talk about the guns while there's a little bit of a lull in the fighting. So, the De Voitine's guns, like I said, 4 7.5mm machine guns and a single Hispano 404, and this is the first of 2 dives that I think I made on this IL-2. I didn't actually get the kill for this guy, although I did score hits, as you can see there. I think either the Hurricane or the P400 gets this guy. That or was a Typhoon, one of those 2. So yeah, I didn't actually get that kill, but whatever. So yes, the D520's guns. So the D520 has a little bit of a problem with its guns, and that's that the Hispano does critical damage efficiently, but it doesn't really kill things. And here's our next victim. It's a Ju-87D. He switches targets from the Corsair to me. I used the last of my cannon ammunition to kill his gunner, and there we go. I got a critical hit. I knocked out his tail control. Corsair goes through and tries to put another burst into him to secure the kill, but the Ju-87 bails out, and the kill goes to me. Kill number 2. And there's a Typhoon over here trying to boom and zoom a 202 to death. this 202 was actually stupid enough to start strafing our cruisers out, so yeah, this wasn't going to end very well for him. The Typhoon makes his pass through. He misses pretty much every shot as far as I can tell. 202 turns into me. He doesn't turn in hard enough. He doesn't actually even seem to notice that I'm here. I put a burst into him and turn in. The Spitfire 2B's on his ass as well. 202 goes high. Typhoon is about to start shooting at him. There he goes, but I kill the pilot of the 202. Kill number 3. So yes, the guns of the D520 are very good. The machine guns, as long as you don't jam them and as long as you keep track of your ammunition, you can do very well at scoring critical damage, like, you know, hitting critical components of the aircraft, setting fires, knocking out the engine, knocking out the cooling units, you know, stuff like that. You can do that pretty effectively with the machine guns. Now, the cannon, by contrast, the cannon is actually best for doing critical damage as well, because the cannon is actually a lot less reliable than you think. The problem with the cannon is that it's a Hispano 404. Now, the problem with the Hispano 404 is that it has, I think it has less explosives than that, and a lower rate of fire than the Hispano Mark II. And the problem with that is that it doesn't actually kill the target as quickly as you might think. Unlike with the Mark II Hispano, you have to use a lot more ammunition with the 404 in order to actually score the kill. And here is the 202, or A202. This is actually the 202 we saw earlier, and by the way, yes, he is actually in a turn fight with a Mark IIB Spitfire. And I don't even think he noticed that I was here. I was actually kind of trying to fly so that the 202 would dive in on me and give the Spitfire a better shot. But the 202 doesn't seem to be all that interested in me. In fact, he's about to fly right past me, and he's not even gonna... I don't even think he noticed that I was here. See, there he goes. What the fuck? Like, okay. Now, I wasn't actually going to try to kill this guy, because I saw the Spitfire still had ammunition and he was still shooting at him, so I back off on the throttle a little bit just to make sure that I don't overshoot. And then I see this guy's heading towards the runway, and I'm thinking about trying to save the TBF and the Wildcat. So I put a burst into the 202. It actually kills his tail control. The Spitfire tries to go through and finish the job and secure the kill, but the 202 goes into the ocean. Kill goes to me, kill number 4. And actually, before I go on about the D520, the Wildcat over there is actually dead on the runway. He has actually broken both of his wings off when he crashed earlier in the match, so he is actually dead. In fact, he complains in chat after the runway gets captured that he can't get a repair because both of his wings are shot off. So yeah, that was kind of unfortunate, but oh well. So yes, the D520. Like I said, the guns for this plane, the Hispano is a nice addition, but I don't really like it being there. Because the Hispano really, like I said, it takes more ammunition with the Hispano than you would think to actually score a kill. And yes, that Spitfire did just nose over into the ocean. I have no idea why. So, yeah. So, the Hispano, yes, it's nice to have the cannon, but honest to God, if I could go back and if I could implement this aircraft, like re-implement this aircraft, I would give it 450 caliber Brownings, just straight 450 caliber Brownings, because the thing about the 50 cal is that, especially the Browning, and by the way, you're gonna see here what I was talking about with the both of his wings being shot off. The thing about the 50 caliber Browning is that because of the weight of the machine guns and the cannon, yeah, the 450 cals would be a little bit heavier. However, it wouldn't, as far as I know, it wouldn't really hamper the performance of the aircraft as it currently stands. And the thing about the 50 cals is that they're much more reliable than the 7.5s. They do more damage than the 7.5s. In this situation, it does more damage than the cannon. It has more ammo than the cannon. It's much more reliable than the cannon. And in my opinion, the 50 caliber Browning is a much better gun than the Hispano 404. Honestly, I really do not like the Mark I Hispano and the Hispano 404. They're really, really bad guns. And honestly, if I could take that cannon out of this aircraft, I would just be so happy. Honest to God, if I could just take the 20mm out and just have the 7.5s, honest to God, I would probably do better without the cannon. Because over the past 10 games I've played with this aircraft, pretty much all of my kills have been with the 7.5s. I'd say about 10% of my kills were with the cannon. The other 90% were with the 7.5s. Oh, and by the way, that little thing that you just saw with me zooming in and my guns firing, my mouse right now, there's actually a little bit of a glitch with it, or a little bit of a problem with it, where when I press my middle mouse button, it has some tendency, it's kind of random whether or not it'll activate the left or the right mouse button at the same time as the middle mouse button. It'll either activate the left mouse button as well, or the right, or it'll just do the middle mouse button and nothing else. And so that's what you just saw there. I pressed the middle mouse button and it activated both of them at the same time. I don't know how to fix that, sorry. So, anyway, back to the battle. Currently, there are 2 enemy aircraft left flying, and we don't know what they are right now, but it is a Ju-87D5 and an SM-79. Now, on my team, all that's left is a Hurricane Mark 1C, which you see up there, and a TBF Avenger. Now you might be wondering, what happened to the Corsair, the P400, and the Typhoon we saw earlier? Well, the Typhoon crashed trying to land on the carriers. The P400, actually, his engine died about 5 or 6 kilometers away from the carriers, and he crashed into the ocean. And the Corsair, he actually crashed when I was engaging the first of the 202s, the 202 that I shot down after the Ju-87. So, yeah. And in fact, the Corsair, he actually, when he crashed, he actually rolled, he was actually on the runway with the Wildcat, but he, for whatever reason, just decided to say fuck it and roll off of the end. Just roll into the ocean and kill himself. Why, once again, I have no idea. So I take a look over there, over towards our spawn, and I see Flak going nuts. By the way, I should go ahead and mention right now, the Ju-87 was not spotted. So I did not actually see that it was a Ju-87, or at least he wasn't lit up for me. And he's about to start destroying AAA guns, so that I'm about to look over towards the A, over at the runway, to see whether or not he's there. Now, he isn't, but like I said, I can't actually see him. All I can see is Flak going haywire. And I actually looked over towards the runway, and immediately after seeing Flak going absolutely batshit insane, punched the, look over here on the map, and said in chat, Flak's going absolutely nuts. And the Hurricane immediately turned around and started heading back this way with me. And once again, I'm looking over here because the Ju-87, I didn't actually see him. I could not actually even see the dot of the Ju-87. So up until about now, that's when I actually saw the dot of the Ju-87. And yeah, I didn't actually know he was there. And then I'm looking around a little bit more, and I see that little black dot over there. It's just crossing the islands, and I'll actually mark it right here. There it is. It's just above where the mouse cursor is. That is the last enemy aircraft. It's an SM-79. You should be able to see him now. There he is. He's just coming over the mountain. So these two actually were taking the long way around from their base to ours, trying to knock out some of the bases, and it would have worked if only I hadn't, just out of curiosity, taken a glance back towards our runway and seen that Flak was going absolutely apeshit after having spotted these two guys. So, there's the SM. And here's the dive performance of the D520 here for you. Just watch this. Over 400 miles an hour, and the roll rate is pretty much completely unhindered. So, SM-79, the gunner start opening up. He does actually score a crit on me. He knocks out my water cooler, which is that one little intake there on the bottom of the aircraft. And I don't know exactly what happened here, but he puts it into the ocean. The only actual critical damage that I did to him was on his flap that I saw. However, what I think might have happened is he took critical damage there, and he tried to wing over to go evasive, and he lost control of the aircraft and ended up putting it into the ocean. That's the only theory that I have there. And the Sea Hurricane, actually, he put in chat, he noticed that I had done damage to the aircraft, to the SM, and he said, alright, I'll let you have that one. So, I mean, I had already gotten 4 kills, so this was ace in a day, but I mean, it was like, how did I get that kill? So yeah, I don't know how or why that SM-79 went down. Like I said, the only damage that I actually did to the aircraft was flap damage. At least that's the only critical hit that I got. So, whatever. I'll take it. That's ace in a day for basically doing nothing. So, I mean, for like, that's the 5th kill for basically doing, for doing nothing. So it's like, okay, sure, whatever. I'll take it. So yeah, the D520. And just flying this thing makes me even more eager to fly the D521, because I really want to fly that thing. I really, really want to know how that thing flies. So, yeah. I'm going to go and fly this thing a little bit more, and I will see you guys later.